I think the Kings need a gigantic swing for the fence, like what we're talking about with Trae Young or John Morant. I firmly believe they do. But then they have to come back and they have to make like a very, very savvy move with their mid-level exception, or a
Mm.
very savvy move with the Kevin Huerter trade exception. And again, if you're going to take that big swing, you're going to tightrope walk trying not to go into the luxury tax or not to go into the first or second apron if you're going to make that second move. So I think there are ways you can do it. But one of our discussions earlier was about sort of the Trey Lyles situation. And I've always liked Trey Lyles as a person. I've always liked Trey Lyles as a player. I think his value goes beyond the numbers. But there is a point where, him missing games and him hitting the 30-year-old mark, where I think you can get value out of other players for the same price. And I also look at, like, but what does that mean? Because if you don't have Trey Lyles, you now don't have that backup four. You don't have a small ball five. You actually don't even really have a true power forward on the roster. So how do you fill that void? And so I really feel like the Kings they have to choose a path like very quickly and then try to execute that path. And then they have to have like a whole bunch of contingency plans because as of right now, this roster feels very, very incomplete. And having these two major holes at both, and again, not to disrespect DeMar DeRozan, but they need a new small forward and they need a new point guard. And I don't know how you do both of those things. With that, I mean, certainly one of those, the value of the player is not going to be the same, right? So you've got to be smart. You got to find savvy, signings, and you got to go find the next Malik Monk, and you've got to go find, you know, a, you got to sign a Jake LaRavia or have a plan in case Jake LaRavia leaves. But you got to have those guys too. You got to start filling out the depth of this team, and it can't be with Doug McDermott and Jay Crowder and Markelle Fultz, who can't really step on the court outside of like a fourth quarter down 25. Can you go out there and try to make it a 7-point game real quick?
Yeah, I know it's kind of thought about it, about how you can get it. Because one of the ways I think they can improve this roster this year, this offseason, excuse me, is you talk about being savvy, being opportunistic with teams that may be trying to get under the second apron,
Mhm.
maybe trying to get under the first apron.